Hey guys, it's Sandro here with my review today on Turtle Wax Seal and Shine. After my recent reviews of P&S Beadmaker and Maguire's Ceramic Wax, it seemed like every second comment was asking me to review Seal and Shine. So ask and you shall receive. And just to let you know, there will be one more spray sealant review coming up, which I'm sure you'll never guess what it is. According to Turtle Wax, Seal and Shine is a super hydrophobic sealant with superior water beading and repellency, which gives months of durability and includes carnauba wax for a deep, glossy shine. So without further ado, let's get into the testing and see if Seal and Shine lives up to Turtle Wax's claims. First up, I'm going to look at Seal and Shine's application and user experience. So just like most quality sealants on the market, it should be used sparingly. Just a spray or two per small section, and using a primary microfiber cloth, spread it into the section and then use a secondary cloth to buff it clean and clear. Now I've had the chance to apply it to a few cars, and overall I'd say that it's got a fairly easy and pleasurable application. Now I definitely wouldn't say that it's the easiest spray sealant I've used, as it does have a little grip and tackiness initially, but it's certainly not the worst, as it does quickly change to a slick, seamless wipe off. One thing I noticed that does need a mention is just the tiniest bit of remaining haze and film residue that was difficult to entirely remove using a standard application. It really wasn't anything too obvious, and if you don't have good lighting during its application, you probably won't even see it, but it's definitely there. Now if you use a damp microfiber cloth, you can actually correct this in most cases. However, although introducing water before it's had the chance to cure won't entirely kill its behaviour, it probably won't do you any favours in relation to durability, but I'll get into that a little later on. You can also certainly apply it to other car surfaces such as glass, where it seems to work really well, and although you won't see a great improvement or restoration results when using it over plastics and rubbers, it will finish streak-free without any staining and add some protection as well. Like most of the true spray sealants, I wouldn't recommend using Seal and Shine in direct sunlight or on hot panels, as I found it did streak and create quite a difficult user experience, but that can really be said about most durable paint protection products. The first panel here was judging Seal and Shine's slickness and feel. I used a clean bare test panel and applied it alongside Beadmaker and Luster, which are two of the slickest products I've ever used, to help me judge its performance in that area. And once they were all applied, the panel was left to cure for 24 hours indoors before testing. Now just going by feel, I have to say that Seal and Shine does feel quite sleek and silky smooth. And without directly comparing it to Beadmaker and Luster, I'd honestly be quite happy with the way it feels. However, I do have Beadmaker and Luster here as references, and although Seal and Shine is definitely slick, it isn't quite as slick as those other two. But honestly, it's not all that far behind. I'll let you guys judge the slickness or lack of friction with each of these sealants, using my old trusty ceramic coating bottle as a reference. And I'll lastly add that Luster and Beadmaker are phenomenally slick and silky smooth products, and I honestly wasn't expecting Seal and Shine to be in the same ballpark, but results are results, and in my experience, although it may not be the slickest, it's definitely not that far off. The next test was applying Seal and Shine alongside NovaJet in a wet application. a bit like a drying aid on clean, bare paint. As I've mentioned in the past, many spray sealants, including jet, were not designed to work this way, but it's always a test that gives me a lot of great information. Now straight off the bat, I could see that the water behaviour of Seal and Shine is quite good. The contact angle of the water beads is nice, and the water sheeting is fairly quick, so all in all it was performing like quite a hydrophobic sealant. Now it's definitely not in the same league as jet, but it's definitely not that bad. However, as I continued to rinse the panel down, you'll hopefully be able to see that the water behaviour of Seal and Shine got progressively worse. Unlike jet or even Maguire's ceramic wax, which tend to cure rapidly and almost immediately have an instant and lasting bond on wet paint, I've found that Seal and Shine needs to be applied to dry paint and have at least an hour or two to cure before introducing water, or it will largely affect its durability. Now this doesn't mean that it's bad or poorly designed, it just means that as a wet application or even as a drying aid, it really won't bond or perform anywhere near as well. And although you can still certainly use it on wet paint, if you're looking for its best performance and durability, that's going to be on dry, bare paint. So the next test was a dry application, once again applying Seal and Shine to clean bare paint alongside jet. But this time the panel was given 24 hours to cure indoors before introducing water. Now once again the water behaviour is quite good, with decent beading and sheeting. But this time you'll hopefully see that Seal and Shine's water behaviour stays fairly consistent even after rinsing it down for a few minutes straight. I know that in a side-by-side test with jet, it perhaps doesn't look all that impressive. But in my experience, based on frequently testing spray sealants, Seal and Shine actually displays better water behaviour than most. And although it's not going to win any awards for its hydrophobic performance, you could certainly do a lot worse for a much higher price. In this next test, I hit the panel with a decontamination strip car wash detergent, quickly worked it in and rinsed it off to see how Seal and Shine would stand up to some light chemical resistance. Overall, it's fairly clear to see that Seal and Shine's water beading behaviour was instantly diminished, but the water sheeting is still quite good and only mildly affected. For a second and slightly more aggressive chemical resistance test, I hit the panel with some Degreaser to see if it would further degrade Seal and Shine. Now once the degreaser is properly rinsed off, hopefully you can see that it's just slightly further slowed down the sheeting, that Seal and Shine is still holding up and far from gone. And although it hasn't fared quite as well as Jet, this still makes Seal and Shine a little more chemical resistant than most spray sealants I come across, and we'll further look at that in another test later on. The next panel was testing Seal and Shine's ability to add gloss and saturation to the paint. And this time I used it alongside Capro Reload and Nova Luster, which are two of the best spray sealants in my experience in relation to adding gloss and saturation to the paint. Now you'll have to forgive me as I had a bit of a moment and initially forgot to apply Seal and Shine to the panel, which I realized after I removed the masking tape. But I decided to leave that in the video to disclose full transparency, even though it was a little embarrassing. But with that aside, hopefully you can see that Seal and Shine does do a decent job at adding a little extra gloss and saturation if you compare it to the bare paint section. It's once again not going to win any awards in that area, but quite honestly I've seen a lot worse. And to be fair, Luster and Reload are really leaders in that area of amplifying the paint. And I'll just quickly add that even more important than my personal opinion, and the whole reason I've spent a lot of time creating and filming these tests, is so that you guys can judge all these results for yourselves and draw your own conclusions. So what are my conclusions and thoughts on Seal and Shine? Let's start with the positives. Although Seal and Shine seems to be excessively cheap overseas, it's not as cheap here in Australia, but it's still about half the price of your average spray sealant, which does make it excellent value with all things considered. Overall, I'd say that there's no one area in all my testing where it fell flat or didn't perform, as it was quite consistent across the board, and compared to many other spray sealants that make false claims and cost far more, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find this level of performance for this low price. And although Seal and Shine really didn't match Reload or Luster in terms of gloss, hopefully you can see in the footage that it's faring a little better than them in terms of chemical resistance and potentially durability, which actually surprised me. And now to the negatives. In all honesty, it just didn't blow me away in any one area of its performance or characteristics. It's not the slickest, but it's slick. It's not the glossiest, but it does add gloss. It's not the most durable, but it holds up. And it hasn't got the best water behaviour, but it's okay. The truth is that if Seal and Shine wasn't so cheap, I'd probably be a lot more critical of it. But it's cheap, it lasts, and you don't need to use a ton of it like some other products. So value is the key factor here, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Is it going to set a new bar or standard in spray sealants? The simple answer is no, but it may in fact force other brands to give consumers more affordable options that still perform well. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show your support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.